In the words of Jesus Christ, love thy neighbour as thyself. And, you know, the same message, the same sentiment has been expressed throughout religion and through, you know, generally, like, through spiritual teachers and leaders and speakers through religion and secularly over the years, worded in slightly different ways, but the underlying message being the same. Yeah, I think it's important for us all to treat others the way we'd like to be treated, you know. And of course, I'm a human being. I can be a dick. I can fucking, you know, we've all made mistakes in our life. I'm talking to myself as much as anyone else listening to this. I think that the biggest thing that we should all remember when we're going through life is that kind of what we do to other people, we also do to ourselves. You know, Native Americans understood this concept, you know, in a very real way. It was a very real part of their mythology, the story they told about their societies, and part of their way of life. You know, what we do to each other, we do to ourselves. You know, that's why they had such a reverence and respect for the planet. You know, and still do. You know, there are still Native Americans alive today, you know, but definitely when the tribes before the European colonization, indigenous people of America were, you know, held that maxim very close to their heart, you know, and they really were like, understood that we are really all one, you know, and it's important to be kind to other people because they are you, you know. We are all one. When you put out negative energy towards another human being, and you treat another human being unfairly or unkindly or nastily or even abusively, right? It's like you're doing that to yourself. You know, we should, you know, kindness costs nothing. And we should all, as human beings, be kind to each other. And remember that, like, obviously we're going to make mistakes. We're going to say some harsh things in life. We're going to be dicks sometimes. But, you know, I think it's important to always go back to the idea of treat others the way you'd like to be treated, you know? It's fucking obvious, you know, but, you know, it's common sense, but, you know, common sense isn't that common, as the saying goes. And I think, like, the beautiful thing about our time, one of the beautiful things about the internet and my generation, the millennial generation, right, is that we are way more, like, aware, I feel, than any generation that's come before us about the importance of, like, kindness, connection, love, compassion, tolerance between human beings, right? Realizing that what is important is the things we have in common. We are all human beings, right? Regardless of religion, skin color, nationality, gender, sexuality, etc., etc. And I feel like over the 20th century, particularly, people were becoming more and more woke, if you like, more and more conscious of this, you know, as, you know, like, people started to protest wars more and more, realise, no, what you're doing over in that country is happening over here. They are us. They are the same people. We are all one, right? Just because they might speak a different language or be a different religion or have a different skin colour or be in a different part of the world or whatever the fuck it is, or depending on what war we're talking about here, you know, that anyone protested over the 20th century, and still indeed in the 21st century, people protest wars. You know, I'm not here to give you my opinion on war. I think war's crazy, but I have compassion for soldiers and people who are fighting, you know, in wars at the same time? Yeah, of course I do. Life's not black and white, you know. So, but the sentiment I'm trying to express is that, you know, I feel like people woke up more and more and more and more over the 20th century, you know, and things like feminism, the liberation of women, you know, sexuality in general, you know, sexual liberation, people, the hippie movement, taking drugs to open one's mind, the expansion of consciousness and realizing that we are all one and choosing love instead of fear and nastiness. You know, people were more aware of like being kind to each other, many people at least, you know, with relation to like the way that we treat children, the way that we're compassionate. You know, it used to be the case that children were to be seen and not heard, didn't have an opinion, and were to be shamed and abused and put down, told to shut the fuck up. Right? We understand now, or many of us, particularly people in my generation, and I feel like I say, over the 20th century, I feel like people became more and more conscious of the fact that it's important to be kind to your children, to support and encourage your children, because they are little human beings who are growing into adults, you know. And we also became like kind of more aware of like mental health issues and kindness, and, you know, as much as sometimes I think some elements of political correctness sometimes go a bit far and people get a bit sensitive about certain things, which I think some people could chill out a little bit on. At the same time, I think it's a beautiful, wonderful thing that people are more mindful of the language they use to describe groups of people who traditionally have been marginalised and that may not have been included in the dominant culture. For example, the LGBT community, you know, people are much more mindful of using derogatory terminology, you know, to describe someone with maybe a physical or mental disability. People are far less people use racial slurs or homophobic slurs or sexist slurs or whatever, right? I think some people could chill out with some things that they get offended by every fucking second of the day. But at the same time, do I think it's a beautiful, wonderful thing that it's the case that we're all becoming more conscious of this, and over the 20th century with things like feminism and, as I said, the hippie movement, sexual liberation in general, regardless of gender or sexuality, kindness between people, and speeches like Martin Luther King's speech, you know, judge a human being by the content of their character rather than the colour of their skin, etc., etc. I think we're all kind of waking up to the fact that really, you know, that is a losing game. You know, we've been living in a crazy patriarchal society for the last 5,000 to 6,000 years in some respects, in one paradigm, right, which, you know, denied the divine feminine, you know, which is essentially, you know, like kindness, nurturing, opening up about emotions, all that kind of thing. You know, lots of men are recognizing it's okay to talk about your feelings, it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to cry. People are getting in touch with the idea that exercise is natural medicine. People are far more conscious of their diet. I feel like there's a big movement towards all these things on, you know, social media, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. But anyway, back to what I was saying about treating others the way you like to be treated and loving thy neighbour like thyself. You know, it's very easy to be nasty to someone or to judge someone. We all do it from time to time, you know. But like, I think everyone should just like be kind to each other. Whatever, you know, we all know this simple shit. It's kind of like, just kindness costs nothing, does it? So it costs nothing. So it's like you can either make a choice to be a dick to someone, or be nasty, or bully someone, or judge someone, or treat someone essentially coming from a place of fear, or be horrible to somebody for whatever reason, or be kind and compassionate. You know, like I say, we are all one, and that's all the sentiment I just wanted to express in this video, is love thy neighbour like thyself. Yeah, went off on a bit of a tangent, but I think you guys get the idea what I'm trying to say about how society has been waking up over the last century, particularly over the last century, and we're in a place where people understand the importance of putting out love and kindness to everyone, to every other human being. We are all one. So yeah, kindness costs nothing, guys. So love thy neighbour as thyself. Remember that maxim. Use it in life, and we will attract positive vibes if we put out positive vibes to others, and they will feel better. And it's a wonderful thing to be kind to other human beings. Anyway, take care, peace and love. From me, Conor Canney at the Let You Be Life Camp. You can do it, people. Bye bye.